Hello, beach friends. I heard this phrase this week, exquisite risk, and I had to dig into this a little further. Allow me to share. Exquisite risk is a poetic phrase that refers to the bold, beautiful, and often vulnerable act of opening oneself to deep creativity, love, truth, or transformation, despite the potential for pain or failure. It's the kind of risk that's not reckless, but often intentional and soulful, undertaken because the possible reward is meaningful and life affirming. Now, I know we normally talk about beaches and seashells, but today I'm going to take an exquisite risk and I'm going to share with you one of the most absolutely terrifying, exhilarating, frightening, and exciting things I have ever done. I got scuba dive certified. What's the big deal? People get certified all the time. And while this is absolutely the truth, I can tell you I was not alone on this journey. Fear was my constant companion. But I wasn't about to let fear stop me. So if you're ready to see and hear all about this new adventure of mine, let's do some diving. So I had mentioned that fear was a constant companion, and it started the minute I even got the materials. I started going through the book and I almost just said, I cannot do this. There is so much to learn. The learning curve between the equipment, how to dive. So this whole journey for me was just incredible. So this is one of my checkout dives. So this is when I got certified in that lake. That was then. This is now. This is my first real live ocean dive, and I am at a wreck. It's called the SS Copenhagen. So the SS Copenhagen was built over 125 years ago in 1898 in Sunderland, England, and it struck this reef in 1900 while it was en route from Philadelphia to Havana with 5,000 tons of coal on board. So now this wreck sits, it kind of varies between 16 and 31 feet of water, and we are about 3/4 of a nautical mile offshore. So I can still see the well, if I was on the surface, I can see the shore of it right now. I'm underwater, and emotionally, like what I'm going through is I cannot believe that I'm literally scuba diving right now, that I pushed through all of the things that I was afraid of between the cold lake, the weather. My mask was fogging up. You have to learn now. There's a huge learning curve. Look, I think that's a sea feather. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to do it though, because I was ready to kind of expand. This wreck is really cool, but I want to learn about all the different sponges and the sea fans and the just sea feathers, the creatures, the fish, hopefully turtles and eels. There were people on this dive that did get to see an eel. I did not. We will see some really cool stuff. I didn't get to see the eel, but check this out. So see that kind of white thing right there? That is a live Caribbean vase. Now, I cannot get down because I just don't have the buoyancy control. I could not get down close enough. I was with another class. So I technically am certified, but I kind of have training wheels on for myself because I was kind of chicken. So I am with another class and an instructor. So I'm not really off on my own with a dive buddy. I have some pretty, at least one very experienced diver with me because like I said, buoyancy is something I'm going to really need to nail. So that means that I'm going to be able to control where I am in the water. As you submerge, you become less buoyant. So instead of crashing into live coral and sea fans and things like that, I'm going to need to really control where I am in the water. And it's a buoyancy thing. I'm actually already taking, look at that sea feather. Oh, and the fans. So I am taking another class already. There it is. There it is again. I got it this time. So this is a live Caribbean vase shell. Now, you've heard of divers, they will just take that. I know it's alive. I can see the operculum, and it's weird that I even know what kind of shell it is. I've never held one before, but yet here we are. So I'm struggling. There's sand. There's nothing sensitive underneath me, and I'm just like, wow. Now, I thought it was interesting that the critter was kind of like tucked in its shell, hanging out. It wasn't out and about. Just interesting. So, as I was kind of saying, as a diver, and I think technically I could have just taken that. I could have just taken that animal and let it die and then remove the body. And then I have this wonderful specimen. And that's not how I'm going to roll. Oh, look at how pretty. So I do believe that is called a sea feather. And I can certainly see why. And that is an animal. Oh, it's beautiful. So if I can control where I am in the water, I'm going to be able to share really cool things. Of course, cool things would need to be here, but if I can get close enough to not harm it, that would be the goal. So right now, again, because I kind of have training wheels, I don't know how else to really explain it. I'm being overly cautious. And so if there's a lot of sea fans and sponges around, I'm kind of like keeping my distance. If I see sand on the bottom, then okay. If I crash into the sand, like that's okay. But I will be learning. This will be a process, and hopefully I'll be able to identify all the different little fish eventually. So I see a lot of the sponges. Oh, look at this. So the camera, again, even for me, I've never scuba dove with my camera, so I had a little bit of struggle with that too. So this is kind of, this is like a training run for me between being a new diver, recording, all of it. I had a lot of new stuff going on. It was pretty awesome. But again, the learning curve, all the things I'm learning, it's really fun. So here's the wreck. I just see sand here. That's cool. And that's what divers want to do. They just want to go down and see stuff. Now, I do hope that I'm going to be able to collect shells. Now, I do think I see empty shells here, like a lot of bivalves and stuff. And I don't know what was going on. Look at that. So that's the anchor from the Copenhagen. Isn't that cool? I see that in a lot of pictures from the Copenhagen. That's really neat. Now, also another, when you go underwater, see with the colors. So water, as you go deeper and deeper, you kind of lose different colors. All right, so that's me having like no control. So I'm back on the surface. Why I'm on the surface? Because you actually do 2 dives. So that was one location. This is what's called a drift dive. And so we have a thing, it's called a puppy, and it sits on the surface of the water with a dive flag in it. That's what a dive flag looks like. And so we are just drifting along the reef. I don't have to go back to a boat. I basically am, since I have a much more experienced dive person with me, I feel better about just stay with my group and I'm going to be okay. So this is like a different location. It's still part of the Florida Reef. And I went to Pompano Beach. So that's where the boat came out of. So that's essentially the area that I'm in. So those flat things, those are purple sea fans. I got to see those in dry Tortugas. I see sponges and sea feathers. Yeah, it's not too many critters on this particular trip. I mentioned I missed the moray eel. I am really excited. Like if I want to see sharks and turtles and rays and octopus, and I want to see it all and learn. So, and as I go along and as I'm able to identify these things, well, yeah, we'll be learning about those too. Now, I think I mentioned, shells. That's really the reason I got scuba, the creatures underwater and the shells that I might be able to get. So I'm only, just like I shell on the beach, I will only be taking things that are not occupied and that are clearly safe to remove. Look at that. Cool. I don't know what, cowfish? Maybe? Isn't that neat? So that was kind of cool. So you see some soft coral, some hard coral, and I hopefully as I go to different locations, I'll be learning about the different types of coral and just different kind of sea life. This is quite an experience for me. And again, the whole fear thing, man, yeah, and in a way, I can't believe I did it. It's a lot. The tanks are really heavy. Hi, Paige. So that was somebody that I met on my dive trip. And there's the instructor holding the, there was a string on it. The instructor was holding the puppy. And a weird, right? So the puppy is the thing that is floating on top of the water with the dive flag in it. Oh, look at that cool bluefish. I don't know what that is. And it's really peaceful under there. And once you're down there, it's like, yeah, this is really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to doing this enough where I just feel very comfortable about it. Oh, hey, look at you, neat looking fish. Oh, man. Maybe I'll even get to see cuttlefish. I'm just very excited about all the different doors this is going to open for me, you. We're going to learn about all sorts of different things. And I also figured, well, one in the summer where shelling's a little bit harder, it's going to be nice and warm, and you do want to dive at high tide. So that's a little bit different. Now, I am on the East Coast, and so I typically probably will be coming over here to go diving because they just have things to look at. There's not too much on the West Coast where I am, although I did find a place outside of Tampa that I might be able to dive for megalodon teeth. So that will be kind of cool. So yeah, just checking things out. Oh, there was jelly. Yeah, see, did you see that little jelly? Yep, there were little jellies. I didn't wear a hood. I think I might get one. Someone who was a diver said that those man o' wars, all those man o' wars that we were seeing, they got. Oh, look, a horse conch. I'll go back to the man o' war story. Do you see the horse conch? And that's. I was like, no way. That is wicked cool. And it's just hanging out. It too is all, well, it's not all tucked in its shell, is it? You can, the orange is the body. Let's get a little bit closer look. Yep, safe. There's sand. I'm not crashing into a, okay, no, just the shell was very, very orange. So a little bit of the animal is out, but clearly the operculum is there. Oh, cool. Now, am I surprised? You know, I thought about this after. Am I surprised to find a Florida horse conch on the East Coast? Well, not on the reef, but yeah, I guess I am. I don't ever hear of people finding the horse conchs on the East Coast. Maybe they do, and I just don't hear about it. I don't know, but neat to see the animal out here. So I did have many technical problems, battery being one of them. So that's it. My battery died. I did continue to dive. The camera was on at some points and I didn't know it was. And so, yeah, this was at least the most viable footage. I promise I will get better at this. And I've already picked out my brand new camera. So yeah, this is what the boat looks like. Me and a whole bunch of nuts decided to strap really heavy tanks on our backs and jump into the water and swim around. It was incredible. If there's something that you are thinking of doing and you're afraid, I get it. Believe me, I was terrified most of the time, but right now, when I'm on the boat, I feel like a rock star. I can't believe I pushed through. This is my new equipment. There's my BCD and my regulator, and I cannot wait to get out there again and just get better at this and all of the new things we're gonna learn. So I did snag one shell. It is a bivalve. I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I haven't been diving before. So I decided to soak that in bleach, of course. And it actually ended up looking like maybe a kind of a leafy jewel box. I mean, it has that kind of like ripple in the shell, the way that some of the lucines do. And it does look like it's got a ton of like gunk on it. So I'm going to have to learn how. So there's going to be lots of learning, even new cleaning techniques, because I'm going to need to figure out how to clean stuff like that. So yeah, this was really one of the coolest things I've ever pushed myself through. And I think we're all going to benefit. I definitely am. I'm very excited about what this is all going to be like moving forward. And Patreons, I literally could not do this without you. And they got to hear about all of this first, because I do try to share special and really the interesting things over on Patreon first, because I am so very grateful for your support. Next week, we are not going underwater. We're going to South Marco, but trust me, it's going to be awesome. So I hope you have a really great week, and I'll see you again next Sunday.